Thank you so much for watching. This is Cory from CoryBakerFilmmaker.com, and I just saw Bombshell, written by Charles Randolph and directed by Roach. Caught this movie at the AMC Burbank 16. Last week, I did the AMC Burbank 16 featurette, and I'd just like to play it again now, just in case you might have missed it. I don't imagine Cats was as high demand of a video as usual, so play that for you now.
Burbank, the media capital of the world. Home of Disney, Universal, and Warner Brothers, amongst many other studios. It's also home to one of the finest movie theaters in the world, the AMC Burbank 16. Inside, it has screens for Dolby Cinema, the most advanced projection in the world, with immersive audio and incredible picture, with blacks so dark they let you know the projector is still on before you start the movie. In addition, a laser projected IMAX screen in an AMC Prime theater with 3D capability throughout its 16 screens. Each house filled with comfortable recliners and a bar in the lobby for drinks before and after your movie. It also allows for mobile ticketing and ordering, as well as providing far beyond the standard movie theater fare. So that's it? Media capital of the world has an amazing movie theater? Well, it's how we got here. That's the most interesting part of all. One of the first multiplexes in Los Angeles was the AMC Burbank 10, originally built across the street from where the AMC 16 would end up. It was a state-of-the-art venue, the jewel of any suburban standalone multiplex. But 5 years later, in the mall across the street, opened the AMC Burbank Town Center 8. 3 years later, in the same exact complex, they opened the AMC Burbank Town Center 6. They actually built the three of them together, including the expansion of the Burbank 10 to the Burbank 14 as the Burbank Media Center 28. Eventually, change came to the 14 as well, and so began the building of the current king of the hill, the AMC Burbank 16. Throughout the entire complex, it gives you the taste of a movie theater experience inside a mall, as an anchor store at a mall, and being a standalone building. So any of the people who work in the media capital of the world will know what it's like at the movie theater in the viewer's town, no matter what type of theater it may be. 4,200 seats over 16 screens. The AMC Burbank 16 is the flagship multiplex of the media capital of the world.
Bombshell is about women who work at Fox News and Roger Ailes, who ran Fox News, as well as a couple other people along the way. In the time period of the lead up to the 2016 election, and basically documents the fall of Roger Ailes. This movie was really good, but I have complicated feelings about it. First thing, right off the top, Charlize does a nearly 100% flawless Megyn Kelly. There were times where it wasn't her in any way that made me fall out of the character. It was the fact that I recognized somebody else who wasn't Megyn Kelly on the screen. And I went, oh, wait a minute, what is Megyn Kelly doing with Mark Duplass? Like, I see Mark Duplass and Megyn Kelly in the same... Oh, wait, that's Charlize. Flawless. I've almost never seen somebody become a person so effortlessly. And not to say that she didn't work hard to do it. The feeling was effortless. And you know what? Throughout, this is an incredible cast. Everyone in this is great. Personal favorites, like Stephen Root getting a call. Like, he's one of those all-time great, those guys. At the top, Charlize, amazing. Sensational. Nicole Kidman does a wonderful job as Gretchen Carlson. The though it felt a little awkward from times to be like jumping back and forth, because there was definitely different energy levels that were going on. Margot Robbie plays Kayla, who is like a young up and coming like associate producer who gets onto the Bill O'Reilly show from Gretchen's show. And we sort of watch her as sort of like, she's not based on any one person. She's just sort of like an amalgamation of a lot of young women who worked at Fox News during this time. John Lithgow as Roger Ailes, a sensational job. I imagine that we would be thinking a lot differently of this performance if there wasn't a very similar one by Russell Crowe. And I would argue Russell Crowe's is better. It's different types of portrayals of Roger Ailes, though. I mean, like, this one is a lot more campy, and that's a lot more serious. So, I mean, like, it's different styles. Lithgow plays the role very dramatic, very serious, but the overall feel of this movie is more of, like, sort of like a Big Short kind of, like, let's jump around a little bit. But there's no cutaways like the Big Short. It just sort of has that same, like, energy and pace to it. Allison Janney, love forever. Kate McKinnon, love. Connie Britton, love. Malcolm McDowell as Rupert Murdoch, just chef's kiss, perfect. And I think that part of the difficulty of doing this movie is that you're going to have real people who are identifiable, that people can, you know, like, use their memories of what these people are actually like to form a judgment as to how well a character is playing them. Sometimes it works really great. I think that the guy who played, like, Geraldo was, like, pitch perfect. And, like, there's a bunch of other guys who are just nailing their characters. They might be, like, a little discount version of Spencer Garrett, who played Sean Hannity. I felt like he did a really good job sort of getting the essence of Hannity, but he was just sort of a little bit discount Hannity. And again, this is not, I don't want to make it sound like a criticism, because he did a really good job, and everyone in this movie did a really good job. It just sort of felt from times like, you know, like, especially when you have someone like Charlize, like, usually when you're doing a movie like this, you have a bunch of people who are doing really good performances, and they all sort of mass together because they're all really good. When you have somebody who does something that's a little bit elevated from everyone else, it really separates them. You know, like when Rami Malek did Freddie Mercury, like, it really separated him from the rest of the people who are playing members of Queen. It felt like, what's Freddie Mercury doing here with somebody who's playing Brian May? But, like, in this one, the baseline of everyone is doing a fantastic job, and then there's Charlize just doing Bach, like, over in the corner. She's just knocking it out of the park. There's no level between the two of, between them, her, and everyone else in the cast. It's sensational. To me, one of the big faults with this movie, though, is the fact that it's come out so soon after what has happened. And I get why content like this would be enjoyed and wanted, but at the same time, I feel like there needs to be a little bit of space between where we are right now and where we could potentially be with this story 10 or 15 years from now. I just imagine there's a better... It feels kind of movie of the week, only in the sense that it's so quick after what we just experienced. There would be, you know, like a John Bonet movie of the week that would happen a year after we first heard about the trial, and it felt sensational because it was so quick. This doesn't feel... It feels like, just as a narrative, it would have been better just with a little bit more breathing room. And, you know, like, when you see people like Rudy Giuliani being, like, campy characters in the background of this, as opposed to a campy character in an impeachment investigation, like, you know, like, there's no way you know how the cards are going to be dealt as far as that is concerned. But it just... You can't turn your brain off to what's going on in the real world, and a lot of the characters who are affecting our real world are characters in this as well, and that kind of, it has a little bit of a disassociating sensation. Like, you're not really separating yourself from the place you are right now, which is what you're kind of trying to do when you go to a movie. As far as, like, the technical proficiency of everything, I thought it was really good. The, you know, camera was great, and the sound was great. I think that the question is not really the people who were brought in to help technically create what it was. It was what they were creating. It just like, I feel like there's times where, as I was gestating this movie, as I was thinking about this movie, where it just felt like it wasn't the right tone. Like, but I kept thinking about like what other tone could they possibly shoot this in, and none of those felt like substantially better. It just sort of feels awkward in a way, and it would take like everything going 100% exactly right for it to work out. And so far, the only thing that went 100% exactly right is Charlize Theron. It's tough. It's fun. It's a good movie. It's tough to. You start thinking about things that it also could be, especially when you got a performance like hers, where like, what could this have been under different context, like under different tone. This is usually a no leaderboard zone, but we're gonna break that rule right now with the leaderboard. This is the 12th, 13th time that I've seen a movie at AMC Burbank 16. Hope you enjoyed the featurette. It's available on YouTube. If you only listen on the podcast version, I would say go check it out, because the whole video aspect of it is very nice. So you might enjoy the voiceover and the music and stuff, but it's worth seeing with the pictures. Onto the movie leaderboard. This movie is tough. I like Jay Roach. I like the way that this feels, even though sometimes I question how it could have been different. I mean, there's almost sort of like a part of like, this is the year that we had Todd Phillips do the Joker, and it's a really dark, haunting little masterpiece. And Jay Roach is of a similar comedy director vein, with like Austin Powers and stuff like that in his back pocket. So it's nice to think that maybe he could have had a more hard turn on this one, and maybe it would have been a little bit of a different movie. But I mean, like, the problem is everything's there and everything's working. It's just for whatever reason, when it's all put together, you have all the ingredients measured perfectly, you put them in, the dish doesn't taste as good as you thought it would. I don't know why it doesn't work. Sometimes that's just how it happens with movies. It's not like a perfect science. Sometimes you can have all the ingredients exactly right, cook the dish, it's not what you thought it would be. And that's not anyone's fault or anything like that. It's just sort of like the way things, that's the way the cookie crumbles. It's sort of like that's how it happens sometimes, especially with art. And it can't be perfect every time. But if I were to give it a rating, I would give Bombshell 7.8. I would definitely say see it. I don't think you have to rush out to the theater to see it. It's not like necessary for like the big screen experience. If you have a AMC stubs and you want to go see it, or if you're just really interested, like Rachel, surprisingly, my girlfriend, who is not very politically active, nor cares about like Fox News or politics, really wanted to see this movie. So maybe you're like her and you're really dying to see it too. I was very interested in seeing it, and here we are. It was good. I enjoyed it. Not the best, though. Anywho, if you want more of me, you can go to my website, CoryBakerFilmmaker.com, Facebook.com/CoryBakerFilm, or at LegendsAB5 on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. If you like this review, please tell others, like, subscribe, do all those things. Podcast version, if you want to listen to these on the go. And yeah, that's about it. Now, if you don't mind, I have to go and own the libs.